Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Agatha and I am now back in creating content for immigrating to Canada. This is a very important topic. We are going to be discussing what a reference letter is and what is included in a reference letter. So as I have mentioned before, I was sent a notification of interest from the Alberta province, and that is for the provincial nomination certificate. And that certificate will be used to be able to apply for permanent residency. So the reference letter is a document required not just for the AINP, not just for provincial nomination streams, but basically for permanent residency. So it's also a main requirement for federal express entry if you are going to be collecting or claiming points for your previous work experience outside of Canada, your previous work experience inside Canada, and your current work experience in Canada. Okay, so I was given a document checklist to be submitted for that AINP application. So I want to share how a reference letter is supposed to look like when you submit them, because you cannot simply submit like a certificate of employment for your previous job. A reference letter is a much specific document that should contain specific information that the visa officer would require to be able to check that job experience if you can claim points for that. Okay, so your reference letter, first and foremost, should be signed by a manager or supervisor from that company. And your reference letter must be on the company letterhead. So it should have the logo of the company, so whatever your company's letterhead is when they issue like a certificate of employment or any document from that company. And then the details of that letter should include your job title. Okay, this is exactly what it says on the document checklist from the Alberta government. And I assume it's going to be the same from every province or even the federal express entry. I would assume that they have a standard format for the reference letters. So job title is very important, although for your NOCs, it would basically not be, they will not be basing your NOC or your NOC code or your National Occupation Classification code on your job title itself. They will base it on your job duties and responsibilities, and that should match. The job duties and responsibilities should match what is written in the NOC website. So I will post the NOC website so that you can check it out and see where your NOC falls under. Because it's important. In every pathway, there are specific NOCs that are only accepted. So you can be under NOC NOC O, A, B, C, or D. Okay, and then your salary, your period of employment, hours of work per week. So basically, if you claim points, it should be, that depends on the pathway, but usually most pathways would require that you have worked full-time. Okay, so or if it's part-time, there are corresponding hours of work that you have to reach to be able to qualify for that. To give you a general information here in Canada, full-time work is if you are working at least 30 hours per week, or that's what is in your job offer letter. A minimum of 30 hours per week is considered a full-time employment. Okay, and then it should also include main job duties that you perform on a daily basis. So when you list the main job duties, do not copy from the NOC website, okay? Because, you know, I don't think that they're going to accept that, or they might think that you've planned it out, you've strategized. Yes, so they've noted that when listing main job duties, do not copy those from the NOC code description. And it should also include the education required for that specific position. Then the skills and knowledge necessary for duties. If you want to see a sample format of the education requirement and the skills and knowledge necessary for duties, it's in the NOC website. Every job position or every job title has this under them, so at least you would have a better idea of how you would write it down in that reference letter, right? And of course, it's very important to include the work experience requirement, because there are some jobs that would require, let's say it's a managerial position, right? So the work experience required for this role is at least 5 years of management experience, so something like that, okay? And of course, include employer contact information. This is very important. Based on my experience, they have reached out to well, I don't know if they have reached out to all the employers that I listed and submitted those reference letters, but for the past 2 employers that I've worked with and that I've submitted to them, they have reached out to that employer, to whoever is the contact information on that letter. They did try confirming. It's actually not just confirming if you have been an employee of that specific company. It's much detailed. They had about 5 to 6 questions about your employment with them, but it's basically confirming whatever is listed in the reference letter. It's not a simple yes or no question. It's an open-ended question when they reached out to my employer. You may also submit your employment contracts, job offer letters that include this information. I would say also that if you are not able to obtain a reference letter, well, there are various reasons why you won't be able to provide a reference letter, and visa officers know that there would be situations like this. For example, your company has closed, or that company does not issue such letters for those that are not connected with the company anymore. I have heard of those situations. And in my case, because it was COVID, I had trouble reaching out to some of my employers. So I just wrote down an explanation letter why I wasn't able to get one, because I've tried reaching out to some of my employers, but you know, in the Philippines during that time, some of the businesses were closed, and I'm pretty sure they're not full staff, so they probably have, you know, I could not wait. I only had 30 days to submit those documents from the time that I received the notice of interest, so I was running out of time. So during that last week, I did not receive a response from that employer or from anyone in that company, so I just wrote a letter of explanation, and then I tried reaching out to some of my coworkers, so my colleagues back then, to write to write a letter that they have worked with me, what my position was, all those information, and they signed it. They included like a company ID or any ID that would present that they are part of the company or they have been part of the company. I also included, for those companies that I was not able to get a reference letter, just to prove that I have been employed with that company, I included pay slips as well, ID, company ID. What else did I include? Those letters from colleagues. Yes, contracts. I also have a couple of contracts with some of the companies that I've had, job offer letters, and government contributions. I believe I submitted government contributions because those they are able to see if your contributions, right? So they would know which company you were employed with during that time. So that basically gives proof that you are employed with that company. Those are what should be included in a reference letter. This is based on my AINP application. So this is for the Alberta government. Again, I I'm not sure if this is the same format required for reference letters for the Federal Express Entry or other pathways, but I am assuming, this is my own assumption, that it should be the same. Yes, it should be a standard, I would say, for the other pathways as well that require a reference letter. Aside from the reference letter, we will be talking about a job offer. So also, when you try to apply for a specific stream, you may claim for job offer, for points for a job offer. Now, again, this is a requirement that I submitted for my AINP application. So this is again for Alberta government. Now, they asked me to submit a copy of my job offer for my employer. So these are the requirements, or these are what they want me to have in the job offer. Your submitted job offer must be again on the company letterhead. Okay, it should show your salary and the duration of employment. Okay, for job offer, I think it should be permanent or continuous employment with a company. It should not be seasonal. It should not be part-time. It should not be contractual, I would say, yes. And it should show working conditions, including location of employment and hours of work per week. Again, for full-time, usually for job offers, it should be a full-time job offer. So what's written on your job offer should be a minimum of 30 hours per week to be considered a valid job offer. Okay, and it should show your job duties. Again, please try to base it on the NOC website just to make sure that there's match between your job offer and its job duties and responsibilities, because I've seen, not just for the job offer but for the reference letters, there were invalid reference letters. So I've seen people that have claimed points, and then when they submitted the application, their points for that work experience was not included, so they did not make it, so their points were decreased because there's a mismatch with the job duties and responsibilities, so it wasn't considered. So please be careful. You have to make sure that most of your job duties and responsibilities are for that specific NOC code. Okay, and it should be signed by you and your Alberta employer, or your employer. And again, it should include employer contact information. So again, based on my experience, this job offer was confirmed by Alberta government, so the one who processes the provincial nomination certificate. Again, they have confirmed this with my employer. They tried reaching out via email. I'm not sure if they have tried calling, but they did not call our office landline. But my employer's mobile number was listed, so I'm not sure. He has not told me if they have called. So I guess they just have reached out via email for my application. Okay, all right. So that's it, guys. I hope I have shared valuable information so that you can ensure that you submit a valid and complete correct reference letter and a job offer for your pathway. That's it, guys. Thank you, and let me know what topics for immigration you'd like me to cover in my next video. And if you haven't yet, please like this video, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, guys. Bye.